Winter is leaving us and 2026 is starting to get into gear. The Games Awards, festivals and events are all starting to pick up again. GDC just happened out in the US, PAX East will soon follow, and here in Europe, April will see the arrival of the 2026 London Games Festival. It's a week-long event with some industry stuff, some interesting panels, and of course the excellent New Game Plus showcase. I went there last year and I had a great time. I found some really good games, I met some interesting people. Link on the screen now if you'd like to see that video. So I thought ahead of this year's event that I would sit down with the head of the festival, Michael French, to talk about how promising indie games are selected, to discuss the state of games in 2026, and to put him on the spot with some quick-fire questions like naming the best and worst controllers ever made, and to ask what is the best indie game of all time. So settle in for a fun conversation and check out games.london if you'd like to look at the official selection for the 2026 London Games Festival. As always, your likes are appreciated to help boost the video. You can sub to the channel for more from me in your feed, and head over to the channel's Patreon if you'd like to support what I do, get an invite to the supporters Discord, and get a free hand-picked indie game code in the process. Special thanks to my boss tier patrons ShyGuy, KingChamp, SusannaMaria, Nate, Drellesh, Rhyistic Studies, and Noah. And with that, let's go. Alright, so I'm very happy to be joined on this video by Michael French, the Festival Director for the London Games Festival and the Head of Games London. Hello, Michael.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me.
Thanks very much for joining me. We met for the first time at New Game Plus last year.
That's right, yep.
It's actually my first time going to anything like that, you know, sort of watching PAX and GDC from a distance and feeling the envy. And so really happy to have one that's like in Europe and near me.
Yeah, that's good. Great. And that was what we were trying to capture that vibe. Brilliant.
Yeah, do you go to those things generally? Are you like out and about?
Yes, sometimes. I haven't actually been to PAX. I have also envied it from afar, and a few other ones. But yeah, so things like Gamescom and some other events, and some of the other local ones in the UK that pre-exist and some sort of exist in some ways. So yeah, but been to some. You can't go to everything, unfortunately. I think that's the blessing and the curse of events, right? They sometimes seem so far away, which is why it's so great to do the Games Festival in London. So yeah.
Absolutely. And like I think events like this all have their own personality, right? New Game Plus had it was really lovely to walk the show floor and see the different kinds of games that were on offer, like from all the way from like triple I type indies from the Devolver down to like solo dev projects that may be showing for the first time. And the dev is standing right there and they've been working on it for years, and you get to talk to them, have them look over your shoulder and see the games that they're making. So it's a really nice vibe there, you know, all the way from like Hurdlings and Time Flies, things I've been looking forward to new discoveries like Passant and All Will Rise. That both seem to have done really well. I wonder if you could tell me a little bit about like the type of games you're looking for and like the curation process.
Yeah. So I'd say, you know, New Game Plus is open to all games. I think when we decided to make the jump and add the event to the festival, so for people that might be watching don't know, is that the London Games Festival sort of existed. I've been running it for a decade, and then sort of along the way, the showcasing element of new stuff, new games playable by the public sort of fell away. There were a few partners that delivered those things, and you know, I don't need to go on about the issues other events companies have faced, but it just that fell out of our schedule. So we decided to do something. But the catch for me has always been that, you know, the context around all of those events has changed quite a lot. You know, even with some of the big shows, you don't necessarily see some of the big companies there. But it was clear to me there's an appetite in the audience, there's an appetite from developers. There are people working on things, as you say, they've been working on something for years, and they want to, and they're a small company or a one-man indie or a group of friends, and they're just about to get it out, and they want to see what it's like out in the wild with people playing it. And we knew that to do an event that lived up to those expectations from that audience, it was all about curation. So the New Game Plus has at its in the center of it, and like physically in the center, actually, this coming April when we run it, you know, in the center of the expo hall we have, there's our official selection from the Games Festival. That's a pan festival program that has games from all over the world. We sort of promote them online. We do some stuff with them on Steam, and then they all have a chance to show up at New Game Plus. And so that's a curated thing. And then around it, with other partners that get involved, who bring extra games. I mean, you know, in terms of the background, yeah, it can be triple I and, you know, the smaller indies, some of the bigger companies. I think it's it just varies on who gets involved and how. As with any event that's a showcase, really for us, it's about giving people, as its name is, new games, and an opportunity to see stuff, and an opportunity, if you're the creator of those games, to get in front of your audience and to see how they react. And for some of these companies, it's the first time they might have seen someone do some hands-on with it, right? And to kind of see some reactions, like it physically, is a really useful thing to do. And I think that the culmination of that, the cumulative effect, is, like you say, that vibe where it's just a bit different to other places. I think it's better than just hawking a load of exhibition space to companies that sort of feel a bit disjointed. If you curate it and put some care in, you can create something a bit more sustainable. And that is the other side to it, is, these events have to be able to be sustainable. We're publicly funded. A lot of our, the emphasis that we get from those funders is about, reaching new audiences, changing perceptions around games, and creating showcase spaces. So that's how we ended up where New Game Plus is. I'm hoping it expands a bit and evolves over the years, and we might get bigger games in, we might get bigger companies in. The door is open to them always. We talk to them. It's just, I think timing doesn't really work this year, and it much more feels like that we're in this point where, the indies and the people that are looking hard and down the barrel of discoverability issues find this sort of event really useful.
Right. It's a good point that you made about it being on Steam, actually, because, obviously, London Games Festival, I'm going to imagine a lot of people that come to this are, they're a train ride away from London. Maybe they're popping into town for the day. Maybe they live in London. Maybe a couple flying in from around Europe if they're, especially enthusiastic. But people anywhere can check out the Steam event, right? And I was surprised by, how many of the demos that were on the show floor were on Steam as well. And I was able to, there's only so much time on the show floor. There's big queues for some games. So even in the hotel at night, you can be I'm just going to check this now while I can, so it's available for everybody. Yeah,
that's right. And so one of the publishers, Fireshine Games, help us administer that. And obviously Steam's the biggest game shop in the world, right? And so to have a curated section on there is really useful. It feels like the platform itself likes it when, somewhere like London sort of stands up and says, this is our showcase. So they've supported it, and it becomes it's a pretty virtuous cycle. Like you say, you can look at everything the festival's promoting remotely, and we know that the wishlist numbers, the sales numbers seem to work. I'm not allowed to talk about those because that's Valve's data, but we know it works. And so, I think that's where festivals in general have to change in games. Is you have to know, you have to address that online audience, the remote audience. What are you going to put up that they could just engage with? We're also lucky that Apple does a big showcase every year on the App Store for the mobile side of that world. And so, again, they know the festival really matters, and they want to kind of reflect that into their audience and use that as a platform to promote games. So I think that's it's been really important for us.
Yeah, and last year it was at London Wall. I'd never been there before. Really interesting, walking through the the glittering skyscrapers of the city, and finding the venue, and there was a nice big show floor at the top with Devolver and some Annapurna stuff, and then a event space downstairs, and then a little kind of interesting set of alleys where you could go and be in the crowd and play all of the little indies, right?
Yeah.
It was an interesting space. It was very full, sold out, I believe.
Yes.
This year you've had a change of venue, and you're going to White City from east to west.
That's right.
So what's with the change, and what can we expect from White City?
Yeah, I mean, I like the venue we used last year. I did love it. It was basically the unused, or I guess abandoned London Museum, and they've moved to a new site, and so it was available. So it's a great backdrop for a curated event, and we moved quite quick, and they were nimble, and it worked really well. But I think as we sold out, and we were very full, so we knew we needed to upgrade the venue space a bit. So. But we don't want to overreach, and we want to kind of manage expectations so people know that they're not, buying a ticket to something that might not, fulfill what they're expecting. So we found a space called Exhibition in White City. It's really well located, but it's by two tube stations. Which you can get there for nearly every tube line. It's right next to Westfield Shopping Centre as well, for those that might want to go onto some of the shops afterwards or pick up some merch. But it's a really exciting new space that I think is a relatively new venue, and we'll have it's 2 floors, but there's one main floor, and so we're just going to ram that with games again, and have nearly 100 things there. So I'm hoping for another good vibe to that. But yeah.
Right, I'm excited to see it. I've never been there. Interested to see it. And as I said, I think a lot of people that are interested in games, especially like the real enthusiasts, aficionados, will be watching things like GDC, will be watching like the States and the Gamescom type events, and maybe want a bit of a taste of that. And so really fun to have it in London. Can't wait to see what you're putting together there this year.
Yeah, great. And it's we are trying to give a slice of that experience and then incrementally grow it in the years ahead. So yeah, if people are curious about what those events are like, then they should head down.
Right, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit as well about, because Games London does more than this, and there's a lot of stuff happening in the month of the festival, like the Games BAFTAs are happening, the red carpet event. There is all kinds of satellite events from like grassroots game dev stuff through to like the glitziest game event in the UK probably, and it's really interesting to think about like the place of games in culture, right? Like there is maybe arguably the biggest form of entertainment in the world, but perhaps with the strangest stigma around it as well, still today. Like we do have now like Guardian Games critics, we do have like, these nice big events. But I mean, when I'm talking to people who are in other sections of the arts, they're like, games, interesting. So I was wondering about how you feel about, because you have conversations about this, more than anyone probably. Like where are games fitting into culture? Where do you see it? Where do you see things right now?
Well, I would say in the decade plus that I've done this, things have changed significantly. We've gone from games seeming like even in 2015, games seeming like a bit of a public health risk if you are a politician or whoever. Even when we're like we're post Nintendo Wii and all that stuff, and we think they're a mainstream breakthrough. There still was then, and now we're in a totally different position. One of the things that we're able to expand the festival with this year is we've got new funding from central government, and they've got a game-specific element to the industrial strategy. So that policy bit has changed and evolved, but I think alongside that has been just this eventual acceptance amongst consumers, if that's all right, if that's all right to use, or just people in general, that people have grown up with games. There are people that have play games more than any of their other pastimes, but they see it in sort of a fabric of other things, everything else they do. And I think it's just taken a while for that to bed in, but we're at the point now where, you can, the language of games has been adopted by all sorts of seemingly random things. One of our programs was funded by something called the Leveling Up program, and it's like that's literally video game slang. And or in fiction books, you have things like I've just finished reading. This is like recency bias. I literally today finished reading Dungeon Crawler Carl Book 2, which is a vast series just about a guy basically trapped in a video game. And it's a best-selling series. And I think when we started this, that wouldn't have seemed like a cultural possibility, but obviously so much stuff's changed. I think also games themselves are moving to different platforms, different formats. You're seeing great adaptations of things, of games franchises, and we're seeing sort of things like Roblox and mobile gaming totally change what people's expectations of a game is and where they should play them. So I think all of that adds up to this different picture now, where games really are part of culture, right? And so that's why it's quite. I think it's taken a while for people to realise outside of our world and outside of my bubble that there is a games festival, because they probably think it's completely normal. There would be a film festival and a fashion week and so on, but I think it wouldn't be a surprise to people now. So yeah, things have moved along quite a lot, and I think it's caused by a mix of time and people growing up with it, and games themselves being more responsible, in our industry seeming more durable and resilient. Which adds up to, lots of great games that come out. We're talking about all the stuff at New Game Plus. It's such a varied bunch of new things there. It's been quite phenomenal to see it. It's felt quite quick, that cultural turnaround. I guess a chunk of it was driven by COVID, where a lot of people are playing games more than ever. But I don't think it's not a reversible thing. Games are very, very widely accepted and tolerated rather than being sneered upon.
Right, absolutely. And like things like, if you think about the birth of a medium, like it was cinema in the last century, and it's been like games in the one that we have, still quite a young medium, but developing fast. I was very taken with All Will Rise last year at the London Games Festival. It's the first time I'd seen that game. It's a courtroom deck builder where you're assembling environmental arguments to deploy in court. So it's not only is it Ace Attorney and fun as heck and deck building, but it's also like embodying a certain kind of environmental consciousness. Really blew me away. And it's really nice to see games that have that kind of content to them as well.
Yeah, completely. I think that's where, that the indie space does a lot of that. It's able to draw quite heavily from things in real life. I think it's Consume Me has been one that's been out. Was that this year or last year? Sorry, I mean, I'm in my brain. I've sort of lost. It's a month to go to the festival, so I've lost time. But like you say, All Arise, you wouldn't have thought, if you just said to somebody, "Oh, there's a great game that's basically a courtroom drama," they'd go, "Really?" And I think as every game comes out, developers are proving we can tackle all sorts of topics through the medium of games.
Absolutely, yeah. And like I was saying, it was like one aspect of the festival was New Game Plus. There was the Good Game Dev Club. Yeah. Last year I went to like a pretty dizzying sort of installation called Dark Side that was happening as part of the festival as well. Really exciting. It's like you go into a little dark room and you're in the dark doing this text adventure where you have to press a button to make your choice. And it's like life or death sort of audio theater as well as games. And I can see why it belonged in the Games Festival for sure. It was like a experiential text adventure kind of. So lots of interesting things around the festival as well. What kind of satellite events are on the menu this year?
What's on the menu this year? So one area we've got like a track of experimental games programming. So up until this year, there was an event called Now Play This, which ran as part of the festival, which sort of had reached the sort of the end of its life. The team that curated it moved on to other things, and it was a showcase at Somerset House of sort of more artistic art games, however you want to put it, but they're works of art, basically interactive works of art. And so we have a set of events that are across the festival at different places by smaller curators. We've decided to sort of try and find the next generation of those talents. So there's an event called Strange Play over the weekend, the last weekend of LGF that's running. But then we also have, lots of industry events. If you're a professional pitching or making games, or you want to meet people, do deals. We track a lot of the business that's done at the Games Festival to and see great numbers there. So, there's 2 days of B2B events, under which we also have Games for Change London doing a summit about impact games. We have a separate conference that's all about, if you're self-publishing a game, what tools you need to get your game to market. And things like the BAFTA Games Awards, like you say, are in there as well. So it is every year it's a slightly different list of things, because with the side events and the satellite events, we're at the discretion of the people that run those events, outside of our core things. So sometimes they come and go. But I think that always adds to that's what keeps it fresh and keeps it interesting. And then we have like our tentpole stuff in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like playing games can be like a solitary experience. I think making them can be a solitary experience. As we said, it's like this huge form of culture that happens often alone. And so something that I was struck by at last year's event actually was the feeling of a community come together, and the feeling of people having like a fizz of excitement to just be in the room with everyone else who's making games, publishing games, playing games. It was a really nice sort of social feeling, and it's something that this like pastime, hobby, art form, whatever you want to call it, maybe needs. So it was really fulfilling the purpose there, right? And I was wondering, like, for people that are thinking of coming down to London Games Festival and to New Game Plus, but haven't quite pulled the trigger on their tickets yet, what would you say to them to like tip them over the edge? Yeah,
I would say I would echo what you're saying about the sense of community and the great vibe. I think that's even games players themselves have had a bit of a negative perception, right? But actually, when people, developers, students learning about games, people just curious about that stuff, sometimes some of the parents of those people with them, when they get together and they have fun playing games and see the joy the medium brings, it sort of dispels those notions and creates that great community. We also have close to 100 things that they won't have heard of that are their next favorite game, right? So that's the other thing I say is this is where you'll find that next point of inspiration. And I was asked the other day about, what if somebody was new and they're a new developer? And I would say, I think with any event, you look at a schedule online, it can be quite intimidating. So my advice is always pick a single event or two and anchor or a game or a talk and anchor your trip around that and see how it, see what comes out of it after that. Find the one thing you want to see, and then go for that. And then you'll discover other things along the way. And that's the other great thing about events versus, having to do online showcases and stuff. It's the opportunity to discover something new.
Absolutely. And if people want to go, it's on April the 16th and 17th for New Game Plus, with London Games Festival happening throughout April, right?
Yes, we our proper festival dates are 13th to the 19th of April. If people are in London or want to travel in, actually on the 27th of March, the V&A, the Victoria and Albert Museum, are doing a free event about video games. Are late. They've got a separate showcase of things they put together. We're a supporter of that. It's looking really good. So, and there's a couple of other things that happen in the diary around that month as well. So there is definitely lots going on. So yeah, and it's all, I think most of it's listed on our site at games.london.
So just to get to know you a little bit better as a gamer yourself, if you're up for it, let's do 20 quickfire questions about some of your gaming memories, some of your preferences, things like that. Top of mind answers fine?
Yeah.
Nothing being carved into stone here? How does that sound?
Okay, great.
All right, let's go. Your first game system?
It was an Amiga, I think, or a VIC-20. But
Classic.
yeah, it was definitely. Let's say the Amiga. It was definitely, that's what I remember most. Yeah.
We're of the same era. A game from your childhood?
Secret of Monkey Island.
A game from your teens or your 20s?
Metal Gear Solid. My teens and also 20s, because obviously they made 3 more of them.
Still going, exactly.
Yeah.
A game you're enjoying right now?
Split Fiction, playing that with my daughter. It is wild. Yeah, really enjoying it.
A few either-or questions. Autosave or manual save?
Autosave, definitely.
Split screen or online multiplayer?
Split screen.
Great sword or shotgun?
Sword.
RPG or action adventure?
Action adventure, yeah.
Spyro or Crash?
Oh, I'm going to say Spyro, but the real answer is neither. But anyway.
Silent Hill or Resident Evil?
Resident Evil.
Astro Bot or Mario Odyssey?
Mario Odyssey.
Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom?
Breath of the Wild.
PC or console?
Console.
Switch 2 or Steam Deck?
Switch 2, despite the fact I don't think they've released any new games for it. But yeah, Switch 2. Sorry.
Okay, a few favourites. Favourite ever indie game?
Oh, that's Papers, Please.
Nice. Favourite ever handheld?
GBA SP.
Same, again. Favourite ever controller?
Oh, the Wavebird.
Wavebird?
Yeah, the wireless. Yeah.
Okay. Least favourite ever controller?
Oh, that's actually harder than I thought. Probably the old giant Xbox controller.
Okay. And final 3, your 2025 game of the year?
I don't think I know. It's probably going to be Split Fiction. Even it came out last year. I'm only just playing it now. It's that or Peak.
Something that could turn out to be your 2026 game of the year?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm coming up blank there because I've got a backlog, and so I'm like, I haven't had a chance to play much at the start of this year, apart from those 2 games I mentioned.
Maybe you find it. Maybe you find it at London Games Festival.
We'll find it at London Games Festival. Yeah, there we go.
And finally, your favourite game event happening in London on April the 16th and the 17th, with tickets on sale now, starting at £20.
New Game Plus.
And thanks very much to Michael French for joining me for that chat. Really enjoyed it. Really looking forward to the London Games Festival, and I will be back soon with my April look ahead video. There might be a bit of a gap on the channel while I go to the London Games Festival in mid-April, but I will report about it once I'm back. And if you are still listening right here at the end of the video, then very few people actually get this far in a YouTube video, so please do drop me a comment and think about supporting the stuff I do on Patreon if you can afford it. It's patreon.com/gaminginthewild, and there are loads of good benefits for you there as well, including that Discord invite and including a free hand-picked indie game code from me. So until the next one, take care of yourselves and each other, and bye-bye for now.